Boom.
Hi, Arthur. Good evening, Arthur. Hi, Mirror. Yes, life. How are you guys doing?
Ho, ho, ho. Merry Wednesday. That's right. It's not Christmas in July. Summer's kind of winding down, but you wouldn't realize about the temperatures lately. But, the trees are like, hey, it's, the summer thing. It's about over. The leaves are starting to do that thing before they start falling off trees. And they fall back to the earth. Not because of gravity, but because they love it. Hello, everybody.
Aww.
I got a button here that will go boom. There we go.
Yay. Hi,
Put our
Steve
faces on your
Husband.
monitor.
Steve Busbin.
Husband.
Steve Husband.
Steve the Handwritiker. That's what we used to call him back in the day. How's everybody doing? We were just talking, we're doing a little research. We were talking about drives and storage and what happens when you get over like 2 terabyte drives and you gotta have something bigger than 2 terabytes to back up 2 terabytes. And it just, the moral of the story, you can get an 8 terabyte SSD, a Samsung SSD now for under $400. Not cheap, but
Yeah.
that's not horrible, right?
Yeah, doable.
That's right, man. Tahiti Vin. That's how we opened. Is that the universal? That's how we opened the pre super shows. And go back and listen to that if you're a patron. Is flowers, floral patterns, bright colors, Hawaiian shirt.
Mm-hmm.
That's the requirement for a Hawaiian shirt, isn't it? You're just like, yeah, Hawaiian shirt.
Or as my brother wears them with, of course, surfboards and pineapples and coconuts. And surf stuff. Along with the flowers.
This took me forever to find. If you followed my journey,
Yeah.
over the years I've talked about, like, I was just never going to buy one new because like $35. I'm like, I'm wearing this solely because we're doing the show, like no other reason. I'm like, it's a goofy thing to wear for a show. And Steve, I mean, I enjoy color. I don't live in your perpetual darkness like you do. You goth lord emo. I mean, have a little color in your life, Steve. Come on. But I wasn't going to buy like a brand, just a goof shirt or something like that. But I never saw one at a consignment shop or what do you call them here? Thrift store.
Thrift stores.
And if you did find one, it was for the type of person I guess, really big people. Like I could wear it as a cape, so I could never find one like even remotely in my size. And this is the first one I found in like years of looking.
Yeah, looking. Yeah, it's wide enough. Yeah.
It's wide enough and I can't wear it as a cape.
Yeah, so it's wide, but it's slimmer.
Not like 4XL. This is It works. It works. It goes in the closet with the other show shirts. I wouldn't be caught dead outside.
Me and Ben
wearing
both
this.
have show shirt closets. I do, literally.
I mean,
in fact, I'm thinking of kind of separating it out from. I have so many shirts, hundreds. So I'm thinking of, we're thinking of creating literally a separate closet just for my shirts for the shows.
so like everything else, you got too many of something?
Yeah. Yes.
I call it I have I guess when the house was built as like a code closet. Because I mean, it's maybe like that wide. And it's just like a vented door. So I guess it's like for putting in jackets and stuff in.
Oh, okay.
And that has become like just shirts to grab to come in here and do a show. Closet. Is there anything else? Oh, I do have some coats in there.
Oh, okay.
I have like winter coats that I might wear once or twice a year. Live with LWDW.
Yeah. Oh, Mary, yeah, I'm probably not going to DataCon. It's just going to be too hot for me. I mean, it was bad enough when it's dry heat, but right now it's humid heat, and I don't do well in that. In fact, my heart starts having issues, so I'm a little worried about it. Even though, the talks are indoors, but all the vendors and the expo halls are outside in the sun. And it's like in the 90s. I can't do that.
To get Jill to go outside in the 90s, it's got to be Disney World.
Yeah. But even then, we don't go during the day. We go at night when it's cooler and the sun's not beating down on you.
I would say evening.
Yeah. Evening. But yeah, I really do want to go. I'm worried about getting a little ill. Because I did last time, and that was a dry heat. I came home with a bit of a heat stroke.
So, Mir, tell me about it. What is DataCon?
But I'll be watching some of the talks after. Yeah, it's the U.S.'s largest data AI convention, and it's at USC. And some of the people that put it on are from Scale. Yeah, DataCon needs to be moved to a different time of year, definitely. But they have got really good speakers, including sometimes even, the mayor of LA comes out and talks. They have big speakers. But some of those, what's nice is you can watch after. So that's what I usually end up doing. Yeah, it's a really awesome event. And I went a couple years in a row, and the last time it was just, that was only in the 80s and I got sick. And now it's 90s with high humidity in LA. So
how far west are we talking, Steve? I mean, Japan or what?
Closer to the beach where it's cooler.
All right. So we got this together. We're going to be talking about Fedora and Asahi, network support and PipeWire, and the Vim's creator is no more. And I would tell you where to get a free Raspberry Pi, like for real. This is not clickbait or watch bait. Stay tuned. And I legitimately, there's a way to get free Raspberry Pi 4s right now.
Oh yeah, it's a cool story. Yeah, UCLA or Loyola would be better. Mir. Yeah, I think it is, Stephen Asahi. I think it is a Japanese beer. Didn't think about that connection there. Okay, I think I will be right back and then be ready to go.
All right. And what else? Oh, yeah, parts. There we go. And what else? Did anybody see the $1 Million Game? What do you think? The low price, $999,999.99. Like super evil when it does handstands. And more importantly, 8-player online multiplayer game. And it's early access. What do we think about that? Oh man, it's a status thing. If you haven't been keeping track long enough, there was when the the first iPhone came out. I mean, we're talking about, we were fascinated and like genuinely mesmerized. Like I remember the beer drinking app because it had the accelerometer in it. So if you turned it up like that, the beer would disappear. There was another app, I believe it was called, correct me if I'm right, I Am Rich. And it was priced at like 900. The highest is you could price an app in the App Store. And it was just like a red ruby, picture of red ruby, and that was it. And people bought it. To the surprise of probably no one. But the reason I bring that up, we're going to dig into that a little deeper on Saturday. You know what I'm going to bring that up to? Because that's going to be good for our lead-in. Yeah. Cool. I think we're about ready. I talked about it a little bit on Saturday. If you play around on eBay, you get an option to, and I'm always looking for like hardware to pick up for videos and guides and things. There was a capture card I wanted. And then guy had it. He had 3. He didn't just have 1, he had 3. And he said, hey, I think he wanted $79 each. But he said, or best offer, or make an offer, whatever that button is. And I rarely use that. I was like, I'll give you 70 for it. Like 12, 13 hours later, just declined. Now, normally what you would get is, something like, no, here's what I'll take for it. This is just like straight declined. I'm still mad about that. It hurt my Fifi. Because I wasn't even trying to lowball him, man. It was like $9 off. And the big catch is, this is like one of those weird pieces of video equipment that like me and maybe 11 other people on the planet would care to buy. I'm kind of waiting for him to come back. Be like, hey, about that offer you made, since nobody's buying this, I'm hoping he does, because I want to decline it. Yeah, niche capture card thingy. Moral of the story on that, I got one, and it's in the mail. So niche capture card thingy. Incoming. And it's more about like, I want to see what it takes to get one of these set up on Linux and with OBS. That's the important thing, because that information doesn't exist on the internet. And we're kind of excited about that. What's special about it? It's $1,800. There. How about that? That's pretty special for a video capture card, isn't it? All right. Let's see. Parts. We got that. And we got that. And cool. Let me go grab a drink, and we're going to jump into this. We're going to have a reasonably tight show today, because I will probably be awake and going this time tomorrow. Running. I'm not going to promise anybody a live stream tomorrow. I'm not, but I am also going to say, because Jordan's going to be playing Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
Everyone, don't do this. Do not do what I'm about to mention. Don't look it up. Whatever you do, promise me, do not look up Baldur's Gate 3 squirrel attack. For your own safety, don't do that. But I'll be right back. I need to go grab a drink.
a beer app on Android. Yeah, I'm gonna wait till after the show to look at it. I think I've seen it. I think I've already seen it, actually. If it's the one I'm thinking of, there's a couple memes going around. Baldur's Gate 3 in squirrels. Yeah, I saw another meme. I don't think it was a squirrel one, but hey Beastie, how are you doing? Let's see, it's 3:17 your time. Or 3:18, I should say. Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It's a good day. Looking forward. Wednesday is going to be one of my exercise days. So I'm looking forward to go riding. I got a stationary bike. I'm going to ride. I'm going to talk about it at the beginning of the show. Do 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 do. Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you work from home, it's like you really gotta make sure to set a time and a goal for each day or every other day or however you exercise. I find that's been the hardest thing for me because I worked 30 years at a school and I was already, getting several miles of walking in. Just working on campus, and now I don't, so I gotta find other outlets. But I love riding bikes, so it's worked out really nice because I ride it and watch TV or YouTube videos. Yeah, nice. I thought about doing a gym membership myself, but I realized, I don't really. I mean, I bought a bike and I was thinking of getting a treadmill. And I guess a good thing about the gym is you set a schedule and then it motivates you to go to the gym and work out. But fortunately, I don't have that problem. But I would like some of the equipment, access to the equipment.
Gyms can be win-win if you find one that's expensive enough because it'll cut into your food money.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I have a really nice one I can walk to, actually, and I've thought about my brother is in that one, and I thought about joining. But if I have what I need at home, I don't need to do that. Although, yeah, Beastie, I'd like to go and lift weights and stuff like that, and use row machine. I like row machines.
Yo, Scott, what's up? You walk into
Hi, Scott.
chat room and you just throw down yo. You gotta come up. You gotta follow that up. I always thinking about that. Like if I walked into the house, party going, I'm like, yo. Everyone's gonna stop. I'm like, yeah, what? I'm like, that's all I got. Through the wall. Oh.
Yeah, Beastie, you like to walk like I do. I enjoy walking, especially outside.
Well, I mean, that sounds a lot better. I really like walking in the house. It's
Not on a treadmill.
It's pretty dope. Go to the kitchen,
No, I like looking at all the pretty flowers and all the neighbors and the gardens and the parks.
I don't, Joe. I go outside in my perpetual dark. I literally race the sun every morning.
Yeah, I know you do.
Inside
Avoid
before
people.
the sun comes up. Yeah, running on the road. There's a good equation to avoiding people. You want to keep that ratio 1 to 1. One run, avoid all the people. You never want that ratio out of whack.
Oh yeah, that's another thing is the mall walk. We have a mall that's over a mile long, and that's always, for years, been a good place to to get your walking.
You got to
in,
do
especially.
it, Jill. You got to become one of the old people that walk around in the mall.
I know, but I don't want to become that. So
We've all seen it. You know these people because there's always, okay, you might not. You know, if you're like under the age of like 35, you're like, mall, what's mall? Like, fair point. Fair point. But used to be, there would be a situation where you had to be at a store like right when it opened in the mall. And you're like, I got to get this place early. And you get in the mall early and you go there because you get in the mall before the store open. There was always people in there exercising.
yeah.
Like,
Oh
walking
yeah.
around.
Always.
I'm like,
Yeah.
so this is a thing, huh? All right.
Yeah. Oh, it absolutely is.
So there's
So
your bit of history right there.
Yeah.
I'm sure you could probably just exercise in any mall right now at any time you want, because if the mall is still open,
Yeah, most of them aren't doing well. The one by me is doing great. So, because it's all the other small ones closed, and they all moved to our big one here, because it's the tourist attraction.
we have the that ginormous mall, the Mall of Georgia,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
which I've been to, I think, twice. The first time I went to it, it's legit. If you come to the one side, you can't see where it ends. If you stand outside of the building, like it collapses like that. It's a testament to the arrogance of mankind. It's a lovely place. The only reason I went there is because they have like the legitimate, what do you call it, IMAX theater.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah.
the super big, full-size IMAX.
Yeah,
and-
all good malls have those. Yes.
All right. Here we go. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Get this underway. I want that about right there. Good, good, good. Those are recorded. Mutes are working. Oh, I didn't put a record button on that. Ah. Huh. Can I get away? Let's see if we can break something right before the show. Doesn't that sound fun?
Yeah.
192.168.88. Oh no! Don't, nobody DOS me. DDoS me. No, you know you have my local IP address for this box. Oh right. Oh, hang on. All right, I might not have to break something. Might be able to break it without having to do anything extra. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
First thing we're going to try is through the power of the Stream Deck, not the Steam Deck. We're going to initiate recording on OBS
Okay.
on one PC and recording through Reaper on another PC.
Ah, yes.
So we're going to say start at the exact same time. And if that works, I was really sad on it was my fault too, because I have a very nice automated system. You know, we do the Steam update of the week, right?
Yeah.
All the echoes and all that fun stuff.
The echoing.
Trying to get that switched, triggering the plugin, getting back to the shot and all that. It is, I dread it each and every week. I've gotten kind of good at it, but it's chaos for that one silly little thing. But I wanted to be able to do it live.
Yeah, of course.
And I had
Aw.
everything lined up and working. I put it in one button, everyone. You press the one button, it goes to that scene, it triggers one individual plugin sitting with all like 20 other plugins, it cuts it on this other PC, it does the echo thing, times disables the plugin, takes that shot and comes back to a 3-shot. And it almost worked. And this Saturday it's going to work because I renamed a track and I didn't change my Lua script that I wrote to that track, so we learned something. Anyway, let's go. Let's break stuff. We're going to press the record button and see what happens. Boop. Boop. Hey! Are you recording? I think it's recording. Cool. And in Moon Theory, it should stop when I hit that button again. Okay. What does this mean? This just means I want that really big, obnoxious Stream Deck now. You know that crazy one? That's got like 1 billion buttons on it?
Oh, yeah, you want that. Yeah.
Like, I legitimately want, but those things are like $200, man.
Oh, okay.
You can get wrecked. $200. I think they're more like, not happening. All right, cool. Let's go, Joe. And let's get that. Come on, mouse. Stop. We got that. Cool. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's do it. Yeah. I had to trigger somebody plowing by my house at full speed.
Oh, okay.
I was in here trying to record the other night, probably 3 o'clock in the morning. And it's always something. Plane flew over the house.
Yes.
No, I think it was a helicopter because it was a boom, 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 boom.
Oh, okay.
That's how I know we're living in a simulation. If this was the real world, I can trigger it perfectly anytime I try to sit down and record.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Linux Weekly, daily Wednesdays where we sit back, relax, take that midweek break, talk about some of the fun things going on in the world of Linux, open source, anything we find interesting, and sometimes, just occasionally, soup. But probably not this week, because it's a bit warm. It's the middle of the summer, depending on where you're at. This side of the world, things are still wicked hot, but we're crawling into fall, into not spring, which is my favorite time of the year.
Nice.
But, Jill, you're particularly excited because you have a bicycle. You've had that bicycle for a long time, right?
Yeah, I have. So, my Steve husband actually fixed, I have a stationary exercise bike, but I haven't been able to ride it because it's made for your average size person and taller, who's much taller than me, and my feet couldn't reach the pedals. So on Sunday, he actually drilled a new hole in the stem of the seat so we could lower it, and now my feet reach the pedals and I can actually use it. So I was excited about that.
Oh man, hours and hours. Now you can join the group of people like, I have an exercise bike, this is awesome. And like a day later, you're like, let's turn this into a clothes hanger.
Oh, no. I actually have been using it.
As a clothes hanger?
No, to exercise on. And it's nice. I got one that's only about 40 pounds and it folds too. So I can move it easily around the house.
Oh, those are smart to get because like when you're angry at it and you don't want to look at it anymore, you can just hide it and be like, what?
You can just hide it, yeah.
Yeah. I'll have to look at it. I mean, it's not sitting there in the corner. Like, why aren't you using me, Jill? You can just hide it. You're like, it's out of sight, out of mind.
Well, it was funny because earlier in our pre-show, Ben was saying, well, you got to only use it when you're watching YouTube videos. And that's when I've used it, watching YouTube videos. It's
not
perfect.
What I said, miss. I said you need to wire it up so you can only watch YouTube.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah.
In order for TCP/IP communication to function in your house, those wheels have to be spinning.
Oh, that would be cool, actually. Hey, instead of solar, why don't we have an exercise bike power the router?
Something tells me you'll get your answer about 25 minutes into that.
Yeah.
You're like, man. Oh, that's what you need to do. You need to set it up to where we'll put a we'll put a governor on it, so your download speed can be determined by how fast you're pedaling.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Aw, yes, and thank you, Steve Husband, for doing that for me. I've needed to have it done for a while. I've had the bike for a long time, and he finally had some time off work and spent a day on Sunday doing stuff just for me that I needed. So that was what a sweet husband I have.
Good on you, Steve. Good on you. I know Jordan has one of those crazy expensive like fan bikes. It's like, man, I gotta use it.
Oh, yeah.
But he's like, I paid so much money for that. I gotta use it. And I'm like, yeah, it's one of those type deals, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad everybody, go touch grass, people. Get outside, do a little bit of exercise, and we'll kill you.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking about in the pre-show about like the script I got to finish reading. I've already written the script. I've already got the video. If you follow me on Mastodon, if you're in our Discord, I'm working on. Well, I haven't like drawn it out, but you should be able to suss it out. How you can test round trip latency your audio interface at home easily without spending any extra money.
Nice.
And most importantly, I'll show you how to benchmark it because, man, we love benchmarks.
Yeah.
Everybody loves a good benchmark. It doesn't matter what it is. Nerd's going to look for a benchmark. It's a washing machine. You're like, yeah, where's the benchmark? How
Yes.
do you even benchmark a word? Don't care. Just give me some numbers on a graph. Put some bars
Yeah.
on it. That's all I need to see. And like, I need to see where this sits on the benchmark. And that's something that you can do with audio interface because for me, the most important thing is low latency. And most people have no idea. They think they understand what the latency of the audio interface is. Not a clue. None.
Mm-hmm.
They think it's block size. I'm like, that's not how you do it. But I'm going to fix that. I'm going to show a way you can test it. I'm going to show you can come over to the Linux Gamecast, look at pre-existing benchmarks, see where you stack up. And I'm even going to go, here's really what I should name the video. This one hack, latency hack, can save you like 3 milliseconds in latency. But I'm not going to name the video that. I'm going to show you something that's very important people overlook all the time. And it's going to be fun. I'm probably going to have that out. Today is Wednesday. I might have that out Friday or Monday for patrons. So keep your eye
Very nice.
out.
Ben.
Let me know what you think about that. Also got all the parts in. Everything's in here right now. I got the $28 test bench from Amazon, so we're going to see how, hopefully, not horrible that is, or laughably bad. Either way, it's going to be good content. And if you watched Linux Gamecast Weekly on Saturday, you know I have 2 Apple remotes now because I found my other Apple remote after I ordered one.
Yes.
We're good on that. I got all the adapter parts and I got the drives in, so that's good.
Yay.
And we just got to find time because I want to live stream both of those if time allows. And if I do a live stream, I like to do it around this time anyway, so everybody can watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've been watching, like, oh, look, it's 2:00 in the morning. Great time. I'm like, I'd love to do a stream. No one's going to be around. Stay tuned for all that. Oh, right. Something we talked about on Saturday. A couple of people here play games. You've played a video game before, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
on a daily basis, yes.
You've heard of these video games. And it was kind of interesting news. We've been doing a show called Linux Gamecast for over a decade. Longer than Steam has been on Linux. We've been around for a minute. Last week, according to the Steam survey, was the first time, a little bit of like a weird nerd history moment. Linux usage surpassed Mac.
Yeah,
on
that
Steam.
was so cool.
I mean, a little bit, but it happened.
Yes.
Thank you, Steam Deck. Thank you, Valve. It's a very strange thing to even, pre-Proton to even consider. Mac always had that 2%. Linux is almost at 2% right now, according to the Steam survey.
Yeah, but we know that's actually higher in reality.
We have no idea. I will bring this up each and every time. We talked about it on Saturday. Steam survey numbers are self-reported.
Yeah.
So they're useless. That's what I said last week. I said, we always point out these numbers mean nothing, but they're in our favor this week. Therefore,
so
they're
we gotta
accurate.
be happy. Yeah.
But, RIP Apple. But it's not really a surprise when you think about it because Apple has moved from x86 to ARM. And while Apple has made this transition, a lot of game developers have decided not to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But that's not going to stop us from running Linux on our Macs.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of Linux on your Macs, a more polished Linux experience on Apple Silicon M processors is getting closer to fruition. The talented developers from the Asahi Linux project made a major announcement. The new Asahi Linux flagship distribution will be the Fedora Asahi Remix. This is really huge news. They are still actually working out the bugs and kinks, but they aim to officially release the Fedora Asahi Remix by the end of August 2023. And lots of new features and machine support is in the future. What's interesting about this also is that the Fedora Asahi project started in late 2021 and work began in 2022 alongside the Arch ARM release, but they had been talking about working towards integrating their work into Fedora. And in fact, Asahi Linux states, Our goal is for all distros to eventually integrate all this work so that users can use their choice of distro and be confident that it will work well on their machine. But in order to kick off the process, we had to prototype what this integration looks like, which meant we had to create our own distro. Makes sense. So adventurous users, you can try out the beta of Fedora Asahi Remix today, but keep in mind it is a beta and expect rough spots that could break. But I was really excited to hear about this news because I've known a little bit about this because I know one of the lead developers, Neil Gompa, at Fedora, and he also works at Red Hat. And he had been telling me a little bit about this going on over the last few years. So this has been cool news.
One of the things I make a point to bring out is there's some extra stuff that's going to be added. It's not in the repo. They hadn't even really got it implemented just yet. And it's just like, question mark? Mm-hmm. What's that going to be? Nobody knows. You're not even going to get a sneak peek, even if you install it early. So if you're that fraction of a fraction of a fraction, the type of person that has went out and bought an ARM-based Mac, you're also the type of person who buys an ARM-based Mac and installs Linux on their ARM Mac. This is going to be in your future. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Don't worry. The Arch-based stuff's still going to be around. But this is going to really help expand things out.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot more eyes on it. And, I look forward to this 10 years from now. Because that's probably when I'll pick up a M1 to play around with.
and we gotta make Steam compatible really soon.
Probably never going to happen.
It's going to be a while before all the apps will be, be able to use on them.
Well, it's something you want to pick up and play with. I don't think anybody has the illusion, and I want to make sure that you don't. That you don't pick this up like, hey, I'm building a Linux box for productivity and everything else, and everything's going to work out of the box. This is not the case right now.
Yeah.
This is Tinker Toy Extreme. Good old days. Something to play around with. Just because we got a Fedora badge, it's still under heavy development. So keep that in mind, because I don't want any emails like, well, then Jill, you were talking about, and I went out last night and bought a Mac, and I can't do everything. It's like, why can't I play Steam? I'm like, never said you could. But I assumed, and you're at fault.
Yes.
These people exist on the internet, unfortunately.
Uh-huh.
All right. So, who's heard of PipeWire?
Ooh,
PipeWire is a thing. It's been around for a minute. It really has been around for quite some time. But I would say definitely in the last 2, maybe 3 years, like development pace has just been kind of crazy. And, makes sense because Wayland's kind of picked up. Everybody's getting on that ball. It's happening. And it's fair to say for audio and video management under Wayland, and even Axe to some extent, PipeWire is absolute the new hotness. And it really lets you do all of the cool stuff that we've been doing with Jack for the last 16 years. But you don't have to mess around with a bunch of stuff. And it's getting there.
Yes.
And I am talking about the audio stuff. The video stuff, I'm wholly unfamiliar with PipeWire. And I'm sure Tim's like, no one ever talks about the video. I'm like, I don't know. I just know about the audio stuff because people's like, how do I do this? I'm like, are you using PipeWire? And they go, yes. And I go, have fun. Nothing against PipeWire. I don't have any development boxes set up. And one of the big reasons I haven't is because everything in the studio, there's 3 PCs under this arm. There's a big chunky streaming box under this part of my hand. And over here, there's another PC dedicated for routing all the audio for this thing back here, which is an 8-port fiber switch. Now, by their powers combined and a little bit of Grayskull, that's our audio over IP system for the studio, which operates with a sub 6 millisecond latency. It is completely lossless and 32-bit floating point, so there's no conversion going on, and that ties the DAW to the streaming box to Jill's PC, and it's all done in real time. And I've said multiple times, I'm like, I'll start paying attention to PipeWire when we get support for NetJack. And PipeWire has been really good with working with jack support. That's been a focus, and things are getting fixed with, and if you don't have PipeWire, you can just they have it's a drop-in replacement. You need to use jack, PipeWire can handle it. You need pulse audio, PipeWire can handle it also. It's got you, fam. So now this page was updated, I think like 6 days ago. The past couple of months, we now have module NetJack 2 manager and a module NetJack 2 driver. And go check out our show notes if you want to see everything. Everything's going to be linked, so don't worry about like trying to Google it and look it up. But I really like this chart. And if you've been curious about what you can do with networked audio and PipeWire, this is handy to look at because it's going to give you the description. It's going to tell you the protocol. And like, yes, it's audio. Does it do MIDI? Because that's another thing you can do with NetJack and a lot of other protocols for your network. Does it do video? Again, you can do video with PipeWire. So we can get some interesting stuff maybe down the road. And most importantly, you see NetJack, latency, low, low. And anything other than that, we started getting into low, medium. We have V-bands. I want to play around with this stuff. I'm going to be looking into this and, other tools that can interface with a Zeta, Inbridge, Jack Trip, Jamulus. Pretty cool. Happy to see it. Then I look up like these starting commands and oh boy. We're going to see. Because I'm not going to say that, NetJack out of the box is human readable, but to me it is because I've been working with it so long. So this is going to be a lot of different stuff to look at, play with. Kind of excited about it. If you saw me last night, I wasn't using PipeWire. I was playing around with streaming AES 67 over the network last night on Twitter. I know Jill saw it because Jill was like, click.
Yeah.
I saw it. Exciting times. PipeWire will be the future. To answer another question I get on Twitter when I posted this, I'm like, hey, this is a really good guy. And you're like, so you're switching to a PipeWire tomorrow, right?
Not yet.
No. This even has Opus support built into the NetJack, which is a good feature.
That's cool.
Opus is a really good codec. That's what we use for our Jitsi. You're listening to Jill. You're listening to the podcast, which you might not know. Jill is on the other side of the country.
Yeah, I'm on the West Coast here in Los Angeles.
We're not sitting around in a room together doing this podcast.
Yeah.
But we pull that off, and we don't do local recording. When you think about local recording, that's where everybody on a show records their audio by themselves. Yeah. And then some poor soul has the job of aligning that in post and getting everybody set up. What we have is I've set the Jitsi server to deliver an Opus stream mono at 512K, which is it lossless? No, but is it close enough to where it makes no difference? You tell me. You got ears.
Yeah.
Go check this page out. It's something to get excited about because I'm definitely at the point now where I'm sitting around. It is the constant tinkerer in me where, I have so much in this studio that is not broke, don't fix, and that drives me insane. As it would rightfully drive anybody insane who likes to tinker with things, because you walk into like a cool toy room with a bunch of really cool equipment in it, and you're like, I can't play with any of this. Nope, can't just use it, and that'll drive. But this is it's got that excitement. I'm like, oh, new things to learn. Maybe there are improvements to be made. One of these days, I'm gonna get Wim Taymans, aka Tim Waymans, and sit and talk with him and ask him all the questions that nobody else knows to ask him, which I'm sure that's why he would, if he's, artfully avoid me, be like, I'm going to be washing my hair tonight, can't make it. And I'm like, understand.
Oh. Well, he's like our hero in Linux. I mean, he'd be awesome.
Is that it?
Yeah. So, the low latency real-time audio support, honestly, is what Ven needs to switch to PipeWire on Linux for his studio and to do these podcasts and streams. And that's been a problem with PipeWire because there's always been kind of the middleman where PipeWire was on top of the ALSA stack and thus creates more latency.
Well, everything's using the ALSA stack.
Yeah.
The ALSA is this is something I need to make to help people understand. There's a lot of confusion with it, and it's understandable. Even Jill's confused. The ALSA is You have ALSA, then you have ALSA. You have ALSA low level, which is your drivers in your kernel. That's ALSA.
Mm-hmm.
That's where your sound card drivers live inside your kernel. Is that part of the ALSA stack? But everything runs through ALSA. There's no getting around ALSA. Why? Because ALSA is your drivers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, PipeWire, in its current form, so if I was to implement NetJack 2 with PipeWire, right now that would be just saying what it would be if I implemented PipeWire in the studio. It would be NetJack with a bunch of extra steps thrown in.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it. I was like, well, I'll just use NetJack. But what I want to see is like improvements to NetJack. I have a wish list of things because I got issues with ring buffers and expanding latency due to just increased size with network. And I found these issues, but they were from like 6 or 7 years ago and no progress. One of the good things about Jack is it's incredibly stable. It's incredibly mature. One of the bad things about Jack is trying to get anything done with it. People like, the maintainers like, I don't want to mess with this. Everything works right now. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I get
However, over in PipeWire, it's like, let's light it on fire. Let's go. Let's go. And I like that development cadence. It's really good to see. I'm really happy to see it. I really support it. Wouldn't use it in production.
that.
I'll be over here on the sidelines cheering on. Yeah. So we got some bad news though.
Yeah, we do. I was really sad about this, but we have to talk about it on the show. So we just lost one of the greats in open source software, Bram Moulinier, the creator of Vim, passed away on August 3rd, 2023. And he leaves behind one of the most iconic text editors in the programming world, the text editor and IDE called Vim, or Vi Improved. And from this article, it states, in the 90s, when several Vim clones emerged, Vim remained distinct and popular due to Bram's tireless efforts to enhance and maintain it. And despite the rise of modern integrated development environments and tools like VS Code, Bram's work ensured that Vim remained a stable choice for developers who valued its speed, simplicity, and extensibility. And, at the time of its first release in November of 1991, the name Vim was an acronym for Vi Imitation. But this changed to Vi Improved late in 1993, and that's a bit of history I hadn't heard about, so I wanted to tell everyone about that. And Vi, I knew it stands for Visual Interface, and that makes sense, but no one says Visual Interface. They always say Vi. So this was just really sad news. He died very young. He's only like 10 years older than me, and I was just we were all shocked by this, actually, because he was young. And one of my favorite improvements over Vi and Vim is that it is extensible and has the awesome ability to install plugins. Like one of my favorites is NerdTree, which is a great file manager for Vim. I've been using that for years on every Vim install. And this was so unexpected, and we're also so in shock from it. It took me aback a bit. I was like, oh, I've been following his work for so many years, and I've seen him talk. So this is just really sad news. So rest in peace, Bram. And I typed :Q bang when using Vim yesterday in remembrance of him. And for those that don't know, :Q bang is the command to execute when you want to exit Vim quickly without saving changes.
I mean, there's also kill all.
Yeah, there is that. Control C.
I want to go down. When I think about Vim, I immediately go back to editing video in Vim, which is possible. The first time people saw that, they're like, wait, what? You could do something like that?
Yes.
Vim's got a bunch of plugins and extensions, and it's got a long history and a great community around it. So, yeah, it's always surprising, and especially when we're getting to our age that we're right now, we're like, oh, boy. Like even 10 years older than like that was like just surprising. Like, Wow.
Yeah.
And you never know. So make the most of the time you got, people.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind. Now, at the beginning of the live stream, I promised everybody that I was going to tell them how to get a free Raspberry Pi 4.
Yes, you did.
I did. Just to keep them around. Because I'm seriously about to tell you how you can get a free Raspberry Pi 4. No joke. Just here. How do you think you would without thieving? What do you think? Maybe you win a contest?
You win a contest or a raffle.
Maybe Amazon sends you the wrong thing.
Yeah, that happens sometimes. You get the wrong part from Amazon.
Man, if Amazon accidentally, you see all the time, they'll post on Reddit like, oh no, Amazon accidentally sent me, 50, 8 terabyte NVMEs.
Yeah.
If Amazon sent me 58 terabyte NVMEs, like they sent me 50 Raspberry Pi 4s, you would never know.
Yeah.
I would tell no one, and no, Amazon, that package never showed up at my house. What are you talking about?
Well, Vin, Amazon is actually really good about that. I've gotten some mistaken items before, and some of them were cool and some of them weren't, but they just let you keep them because it was their mistake. So they...
I like how Jill's publicly was like, yeah, I saw they weren't addressed to me and they weren't mine, but I opened them up anyway.
Yeah. Well, no, it wasn't. They actually sent the wrong item instead of the one I ordered. That's happened a few times.
Amazon's never had a problem. That's one of the reasons I was talking about that Trackmania last night is I still will order stuff through Amazon, especially if it's kind of expensive or pricey, and I'm a little bit worried about it because if anything happens to it, I have no love for Amazon whatsoever. But I've dealt with Amazon returns. I'm like, yo, things broke. They're like, yeah,
so
all right.
Easy.
We'll send somebody to your house tomorrow to pick it up. Done. That's the competition we need. We need somebody to compete with that. I'm not even worried about prices at this point. It's that return policy. But I'm talking about Raspberry Pi 4 because they've been found in abandoned spin scooters in Seattle. Yeah, they do show up in the strangest places. This is the latest and quite an unlikely source when you think about it, because we all see these scooters around in any metropolitan area, small towns, you name it, typically like Lime scooters are, I think, omnipresent in most states in the Americas.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow. You never think about that, but this is from Spin, and this is in Seattle. This was a rental company, and they just kind of noped out of the city. They did. Like, okay, we've had enough. Like, I don't know if they had financial issues or anything to that effect, but they left behind a lot of their scooters. Mm-hmm. And they've just been sitting around, not doing anything. They didn't have service. Nobody was coming to charge them because the company just kind of left. I'm like, okay, well, somebody decided, you know what, let's see what do we do? What do hackers, what do nerds do? Like, let's see what makes these things tick. So they popped open the cover, they cracked it open, and they have Raspberry Pi 4Bs just in them. Oh,
yeah.
If you are in the area, I don't know if it's too late now. I mean, it is Seattle. Crack one of these suckers open like a digital lobster like it is and get your prize.
Yeah.
And my first thought when I saw this was like, of course you were having financial problems if you were buying Raspberry Pi 4Bs for your scooters.
Yeah. Well, they probably bought them, when they first came out when they were cheaper retail.
Even at $75?
Yeah.
Like, that should be an embedded part that's like $2.
Yeah, I know. It is kind of strange that they use the full Raspberry Pi 4. But I'm sure it was partly used for the software to integrate with the mobile app to rent the scooter and keep track of distance, travel,
sure it's 100% one of the reasons that company went out of business, because they were making dumb decisions like using a Raspberry Pi Pico. Yeah. Like, this is all to our benefit. Like, yes, crack what you see that orange scooter. If you're in the Seattle area now, I do want to say this though. Like, don't get on a plane. I kind of want to get on a plane and go get one just to have a video of it.
Yeah.
But if you're in that area, go grab one. I want to say that this is a niche enough thing because we're all immediately thinking if this was in your neighborhood, right? Let's say it was like in, your neighborhood in LA. If somebody said, oh yeah, the Athens scooters have Raspberry Pi 4s.
Mm-hmm.
I know what I'm doing about 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
However, I fully expect maybe like 7 or 8 other people are going to be like, yeah, let's gonna go. So you might be able to find one if you're in the Seattle area and you see some spin scooters. I'm not telling you to do it. I'm just saying there's some real surprise to be had. And don't be greedy though.
Yeah.
Don't be greedy. Don't try to yoink them all.
Yeah. Here in LA, we have tons of different scooter manufacturers for rentals. In fact, we're one of the first cities to have those years ago. And Spin is one of them. I've seen them before. So if that company pulls out of LA, maybe I could have Strider go and look for a Spin scooter in his neck of the woods. See what happens.
It's silly. It's silly where you see like and this is one of the reasons it's kind of shocking because you wouldn't expect a $75 SBC to be sitting in a scooter because like that's insane to have that a quad core.
I mean, are they doing like video capture?
No, they're not. They were misappropriating investor money. A moron made this decision.
Oh boy.
Like there is like this, like that is the equivalent of like, yeah, you know what? Let's just put a gold coin in this thing. Why? I don't know. We get that is so overpowered for anything that scooter would do. And if you think I'm being facetious, just look at any other scooters internals compared to.
Yeah, so that would be interesting. What is in the Lime ones? Do you know?
It's not a Raspberry Pi 4.
Yeah, it's an embedded, something.
It's
embedded.
some SoC that they've gotten printed out, or I seriously doubt any of this stuff's custom at this size, but it's not a $75 single board computer.
Yeah, I know. That'll be a difference in an SoC, not a single board computer.
So, yeah, there you go. If you're outside of Seattle, I strongly advise not cracking open a Spin because then somebody's going to be cracking you open at some point if they get you doing that.
Police will come. Yes.
No vandal, but yeah, if they left these things in the city as digital e-waste, yeah, go for it. Go for it. I don't have any problems with that. And I see our theory chat's like, that's where the Pi's, dumb projects.
Yeah, it went during the shortage.
During the shortage, the Raspberry Pi Foundation had to make sure businesses got them because they needed to put them in scooters. Brilliant. All right, everybody. We had fun. Running it just about on time this week, so let's go ahead and jump out of here. How about some credits?
People to thank. Yeah, we got everyone in chat, like R. Theron, who's one of our advisors. We've got Mir PPC in chat, DeCresney, Scoots, Scott Machode, Katana's in chat.
No, Arthur, and you at least need to buy the scooter dinner.
Followston is in chat. Nice. Yeah, so all those beautiful people in chat are our patrons as well as all the people that are on our credits that I can't read quick enough. Like Truggy and Veritunuda.
I mean, that's why you were trying to read everybody out in chat, John.
Yeah, exactly. It's easier for me to do that than it is to go through hundreds of names on my return video, which I can't keep up with.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that's going to wrap us up for episode 387.
Yay.
Not sponsored by Intel, unlike last week.
Yeah, yes.
With our i386. We'll see you again.
Bye, everyone. Love you.
Oh, we got to hit the stop button. Let's see if the stop button works. Boop. Hey, look at that. All right. I like that button.
Bye, Steve husband. See you soon. And
it's strange, isn't it, Steve, that a 30-minute show takes 30 minutes to do?
Yeah.
Wild, isn't it?
Dualios.
It's Dualios.
Yeah.
Or Dual Zeros.
Dualios. Yeah. I just assume OS because we're a Linux podcast. So.
Yeah, like Wind OS.
Yeah. Windows. Yeah.
Wind OS. And people have always called it Windows. And I'm like, no, it's Windows.
Oh, thank you, Steve Husband. Yes, of course. Because you say showtime at the beginning, so you were saying bye at the
Steve, you're such an attention whore.
VenOS, yes. VenOS is Debian based. For sure.
It's just regular Debian.
Yeah.
Yeah, VenOS is when you look at Debian vanilla and I'm like, that's a little bulky. Let me rip some things out.
Yeah.
Let's trim regular Debian down. As I said, as I was building a kernel at 2:40 in the morning, this morning, because I wanted to try something. And that was a waste of time. It still takes too long to build a kernel. And not, I mean, it's like, what, 12, 13 minutes to build a kernel, but still.
Oh, Dulios was taken. Okay, I see. You put the number 0. I see that on our Discord. It shows it just as a 0, but I see now it's a number 0. It's the elongated 0, which means it's not a capital O.
Oh, so the correct pronunciation is Dal I0S.
Yeah.
Got it. 1, 2. Getting the how fast does Windows vintage Windows like Windows 95 boot off of like can you even boot Windows 95 off an NVMe? I know you could do it on SSD probably.
Yeah, an SSD, I know for sure. I know Windows 98 has been tested on an NVMe, and that does boot. But I don't know about 95, if that works or not. I read an article recently about it.
A SATA? No PATA? What about Fiber Channel?
Yeah, NT4 would probably be required for that, at least, or higher. Whoop.
That'll teach it. What'd you drop?
No, it was my my controller. It's been having issues. Actually, I've ordered a new one. It sometimes just vibrates on its own, and it vibrated itself off the desk. I have it on a stand too, but sometimes it vibrates off the stand. It just vibrates. I think the power it's having a power issue.
So if you want to hear absolute nightmare is when one of these controllers. Sometimes you'll launch a game. It's not as common as it is these days. It used to be, but it'll pick up the wrong controller, and a lot of things have to be out of whack because the controller's got to be on. You got to be sitting there. The sound of one of these tearing off across a glass desk.
Oh, it's horrible. That's scary.
You will wee yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
FireWire. Yeah, I know old versions of Windows have. When was FireWire introduced in Windows? 98? Maybe?
Yeah, I'm forgetting because I had used it in NT, so.
I wouldn't know because I didn't sully my hands with any of those versions of Windows. I'm play the guessing game if somebody Googles it.
It must be, Windows 98 for sure, because I was using it in NT4 at the time.
It was in one of the 90s because I knew a guy, not audio, strangely enough, DV cams.
Yeah, well, that's why.
He had a DV cam, and because I was fighting it because plug and pray was very much a thing, and my strategy that I knew for Windows to make the COM ports line was to go in and intentionally cause everything to conflict.
Oh, okay.
Then reboot it, and somehow, like, there was a surprisingly high probability that it would come back and that device would work if there was a IRQ conflict. And Windows would be like, yeah, now that they're all conflicted, I can figure out what to do now. that was a reliable way to fix it. So Microsoft had officially discontinued. No, I know when it was discontinued. When was it added?
Yeah, I mean, I used to set up the PipeWire support with our DV cams in our classroom for our students. And I think we were at the time using Premiere Pro 6. So it was Windows NT 4 point something with a service pack. I think that enabled the FireWire. Or something, I'm remembering something like that. I have to look it up though. But yeah, for sure, Katana 2000 was when everyone started using FireWire. I remember upgrading our machines to Win2K.
The beam to window. Oh, okay. So we'll work with both Windows 95 and Windows NT, I guess. The new driver class also supports the 1394 EEE. All right. Windows ME NT 3. What?
Yeah, as early as that makes sense.
Okay, so now I'm looking at a PCI, not Express, just regular PCI VIA chipset. DriverGuide.com. Download now, and I'm sure that's probably an ad. Support all the way down to 95. NT4,
Okay.
NT351. So that's like workgroups, XP, Windows 2003. I didn't even know that was a thing. What is Windows 2003?
Server.
Was it like 2003 AS?
Yeah.
Server 2000? Okay. I have never seen that called just Windows 2003 before. That's a new one. Windows 2004. Windows Me. Oh boy. Windows 98 SE. That's a...
Yeah. So, of course, for my classroom, we had to have, Windows NT to use the, so we didn't have the 4 gig limit on their captures with home use Windows.
What are you talking about?
Oh, yeah, the different file. You can't use FAT32 if you wanted to go over 4 gigs. You had a 4 gig limitation on capturing video and rendering.
Those, so you
With
said use
FAT32.
NTFS.
Yeah. Yep, that's what was the thing. That's why all our software, you had to use Windows NT for it. Whether it was animation or... Well, also just to have dual processor support, you had to have NT.
You had to have NT and you had to have that license for
Yep.
each CPU. I have a unopened copy of Windows NT 4.0 licensed for 2 CPUs.
Yeah.
It's still in its shrink wrap, or whatever you want to call it. I'm sure it's worth dollars, like 2, possibly 3. I just thought it was like, I'll never use that. An artifact of a different time. XP64.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Okay, strange times. When did Windows uses just NTFS nowadays, right?
Yeah,
Out of the
by
box.
default.
He says, assumingly. I presume it does.
No, it is. Yeah, because all versions of modern Windows are NT based. So. Windows 2000 server. Yeah.
See, I don't have the box. I
I-
just got like
oh,
the shrink
God.
wrap. Like the OEM manual probably came out of a. Oh, I do have that though. That's probably worth like $5. I have the Windows NT manual and disc for my DEC Alpha.
I'm trying to remember the numbers. So NT5 was Windows XP, NT6 is Windows 2000. See, going back in my Windows years of teaching. The NT kernel. I know them all by heart. Still do. If I think about
Yeah,
it.
NT6, Vista Server 2008, even Windows 7. Remember Windows 7? That was
my
NT kernel 6.1.
me and Ven both have a Deck Alpha. I had NT4 on my Deck Alpha for a long time, but I've had Debian on there for years. That's mostly what I used. But and True 64 as well.
Yeah, you see, Arthur, I got a Deck Alpha desktop before these hipsters started collecting these things, and it was e-waste.
Yeah, I got mine when it was fairly new too.
Well, it wasn't new. It was getting thrown out, and nobody wanted it. I'm like, yeah, I'll take that. Like, that'll be fun to play around with. I didn't know I've still never done anything with it, but it was, if you try to get one right now, like, people are like, I'm collecting e-waste. I mean, they're vintage computers. So, you know what? It's keeping it at a landfill, so I don't care. Like, have fun with it, but it's driven the price of things up.
I was using it for rendering because the animation industry was heavily using Deck Alphas. And I'd gotten it secondhand through a aerospace auction, and it got a lot of use. I won awards for animation because of that machine, because I could get it done in time.
Yeah, most of the rendering stuff I was around that time was not Deck, it was SGI.
Yeah.
Yeah, before it was hipster.
So I used
when
that
it was just like
too,
straight
but
up.
I had, at home, I had a Deck Alpha, so...
And the thing about like Deck Alphas, they were affordable. You could buy one.
Mine was worth about $30,000. It was not affordable.
Compared to an Indigo 4?
Yeah, at the time. Actually,
Which would know like how much more an Indigo 4 would be compared to a Deck Alpha. They were affordable. They were something you could reasonably buy if you were a professional video editor.
Yeah, if you were.
Or animation, yes. I mean, you could feasibly have one in your house. $30,000 is not outrageous for a work. Even today, you can build a $30,000 workstation like that.
Well, I spent $6,000 on mine as a,
I mean, think about a Mac. You can barely get a halfway decent Mac for $30,000 right now if you're building a Mac Pro. What is a fully kitted out Mac? We did that a couple of months ago. It was close to like 80.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was sad to see Deck, HP killed Deck. They didn't know what to do with it. It was ahead of its time.
Believe it or not, there's still some studios that still have the Deck Alphas rendering. I was amazed. I mean, I knew about 10 years ago there were still some around, but I'd heard recently that a couple of the studios still had them. Because they're workhorses and they don't need to get rid of them, and might as well just use them. They're 64-bit. Actually, there were 256-bit Deck Alphas, and they were working on 512s when they got taken over.
Yeah, that's curious. I don't know anybody doing any rendering on CPUs these days, so that's kind of fascinating.
Yeah, I know.
Radically inefficient.
Yeah, it's all GPU now. Or cloud.
The Ithanium?
Titanium.
The Ithanium. Yeah, that would have been an interesting world if Intel had pulled off the convinced everybody to make a hard break from x86. In a weird way, that would have like made things less sloppy. Because it's going to happen one way or the other. We're never going to have a I say this. Because we're going to be moving to what, RISC, or we're going to be moving to ARM. And there's always going to be I wouldn't it have been nice if like that transition had happened 20 years ago?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, AMD 64, like that was that just kind of that was a weird time because it just came in and just wrecked everything with AMD showed up. It's like, yeah, we got 64-bit support and backwards compatibility for 32-bit applications. That was big. And like the Intel licenses, x86 64. they license that. But then again, AMD licenses is just the x86 from Intel, so those two companies will always have some type of synergy going together.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have your cake and eat it. Then why do you have the cake if you can't eat it? Why would we have a cake and not eat it?
If you're playing Portal?
Well, then there was never a cake to begin with.
Yeah. There were pictures of cakes.
Scott, you might even know. Somebody knows. Because Intel is very stingy about handing out the x86 license these days. And I think maybe VIA has one. Is the only company left outside of AMD?
VIA.
Mm-hmm.
There is another one, but it's lower powered chips. Not MIPS. I'm forgetting. I have to look it up.
Oh, you would have to look it up because I just looked it up and I'm like, I'm sure that's a company. Intel, AMD,
Yeah, there's
VIA.
Cyrix.
And one more.
Yeah.
It's Intel, AMD, and VIA, and this last one.
I know.
No cheating. You'll never guess it. I would. I would say what Jill said. I mean, like,
Yeah.
it's that company that does like the weird low-powered little funky
Yeah.
ones. Like, I have no idea what this company's name is. It is DMP Electronics.
Ah.
Established in 1989, so they probably got that license a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's them, AMD, and VIA somehow. Like, VIA's just always been around kicking, hasn't it? Yeah, I don't think Cyrix is still around.
Yeah, Cyrix and AMD Geode are VIA products. They are, yeah.
But VIA by Cyrix?
I've got a couple AMD Geo machines and quite a few Cyrix machines in my collection.
Oh, I guess Cyrix isn't. Cyrix was a microprocessor developer. What happened to Cyrix? They merged with the National Semiconductor in 1997. Oh, man. My favorite memory of Cyrix. I had a friend who bought a Cyrix CPU because CPUs were crazy expensive. Mm-hmm. Intel CPUs have always been crazy expensive.
I bought a 386 Cyrix.
I think this was
the
a
386 came out.
Pentium class because I had a Pentium 70 at the time.
You were younger.
So, well, this is when Pentiums were just coming out. It was like a Pentium 70. So yeah, I was perpetually 8 years younger than you.
Yeah.
At all points in history, I've been 8 years younger than you. So when that came out, he had bought a Cyrix. And I remember reading through the manual. It was something like 90+% Intel compatible. They just told you out of the box. They're like, we're not 100% Intel compatible. And he found that out playing one of the Daggerfall games or whatever. It would constantly crash and it was a bug. And you couldn't do anything about it. Because it didn't have that full Intel compatibility. That was the thing you had to worry about back in the day. I never personally had to see a Cyrix chip though. Playing Quake? Oh, right. I saw that it couldn't play Quake. It's like, yeah, I guess it was Quake, right?
Yeah, Quake was the thing. Yeah.
Nice one.
I said that on one of the podcasts. I think it was LWDW years ago. That good luck playing Quake. And someone messaged me saying, "Well, you should know that Quake plays on all on all i386 processors." I'm like, "Oh, dude, you don't know the history." That was so funny. Yeah, someone was complaining that I was wrong and they didn't
Nostalgia
do the research. Yeah.
Did a video on it like back in 2017.
Yeah.
A long time ago.
And I remember I just posted an article for him to read. I'm go, look at this. And he actually came back and apologized. Like, oh, okay. There were actually people who didn't know about that.
There you go. When did that come out? That's been a minute. 5 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I had seen a video of that a lot longer ago, but quakes can be deadly.
You know what, Scott? I really feel like Intel wants to get rid of x86 too. Like, I mean, that was kind of the whole thing with the Itanium, though. Like, let's break away from this. But like, where does Intel go at this point, though? Like,
yeah. But yeah, I remember watching the Nostalgia Nerd one. I liked his. It's really good.
Are we gonna see Intel moving to ARM or RISC-V, and if they're going to be doing stuff like Apple's doing with the M series, where they like that's built in the x86 emulations, built in the silicon to some extent? Like, I don't know. Then we got Windows though. Like, Windows, I guess, is the big holdup. How many times has Windows tried to do ARM? Twice now?
At least twice.
Oh, Katana. Yeah, I saw that talk. That was some spooky stuff, wasn't it? More.
Yeah, I mean, they tried to do
Windows RT. Remember that? That was that tablet one. Then, probably like 8 years ago, there was that. Oh, no. We got Windows on Raspberry Pi. That exists. But what was it? Windows 10, I think? I'm guessing. I threatened to put it on my Raspberry Pi at one point. But nobody makes Samsung has that Snapdragon ARM laptop. That's like kind of dope, but it's still crazy expensive. That's what you buy somebody you don't like. You buy them an ARM laptop that's running Windows. Because there's can't be much you can do with that. Surf the web. Raspberry Pi. Oh. See, this is why I don't make a good YouTuber. If I was a good YouTuber, I'd go get a Raspberry Pi 2 and we'd do a stream of putting Windows 10 on it. Seeing what we could do with it. Probably nothing. Where would you see one, like, okay, so if I had to take a guess, if Microsoft has experience, would probably be like Windows Embedded, right? For ARM?
Wince. Windows CE.
I haven't seen Windows CE in a God.
But
it's frightening how many like point of sale systems that you see that are running like Windows XP embedded. Oof. But I'm sure those are still getting like updates though. So. Last time I saw Windows CE, it was on a mobile phone.
Yeah,
before
that's
Android
the last
came out.
time I've seen it too, and it worked on an ARM processor. So that's probably the one I think their first attempt on ARM.
I could definitely say an attempt because I was trying to play with it. My buddy bought it, and these things were like ludicrously expensive. Like this is 12, 13 years ago. Like $1,000 phone. You didn't spend that kind of money because we had flip phones back then. And I was trying to use it. And he's like, no, you have to use the stylus.
Yeah.
I was like trying to touch stuff. And like, nope. You're going to get a stylus out to use it.
Yeah, the HP iPac. I have one of those. And my brother had gotten one of those years ago for his work. The ones with the styluses that run Wince phones.
Can you imagine having to use a stylus on a tablet or a phone these days? Wouldn't that be weird? That'd be strange. And that's just, you expected to do that 20 years ago. Like if it was a touchscreen, I'm like, okay, where's the magic wand thing? Well, Windows is bloated. It is. No one's going to doubt that, but
that's why they came up with Wince.
Windows has something that Linux doesn't. There's one area where Windows just dances all over the penguin's head, and that's backwards compatibility. You think I'm joking? Go try to play a Feral game from 6 years ago, right now out of the box. It's going to be rough. Go try to play a Loki title from 25 years ago. Put that disc in and see what happens.
I still have access to old Linux distros. and Lutris.
Exactly. We got the Proton now. Like, you don't have to worry about it. And that's a testament to, Linux is not very good at maintaining backwards compatibility. It's moving at such a clip to where Proton makes sense. Because, I'm not going to try to run the native build from a couple of years ago. It's probably not going to work. And you see that more and more, especially with, older Unity titles these days.
Yeah.
They're starting to get real manky. Like, that just use Proton.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or like Unreal. Everybody, I got a really sad comment. I did that video about getting UT99 up and running on Linux. Speaking of having to jump through some hoops to get a modern game, old game up and running on a modern system. And I did it for the GOG version. And it's like, here's how you get up and running. I got a comment that made me sad. I was like, I got it up. I followed the guide. Everything's working. Where are all the servers? They shut down the servers a couple of months ago. Epic quit hosting the servers for the old Unreal games. I saw something pop up on your screen. I'm trying to figure out what was it.
Yeah, it was a little white box, and that's all I saw. I was like, what the heck? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, Ben. I couldn't read it. You can disable reaction sounds for this meeting? What? Oh, it's a new Jitsi feature.
What's this one do? I gotta find out.
Reaction sounds. Okay.
Silence. Boo.
Can
you guys hear that at home?
Yeah, well, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing it. Yeah, laughter.
We got an applause track. Fellow Jitser would like to speak.
Yeah, I just did the hand. Okay. Okay, new feature, Jitsi.
This is telling how long it's been there. I never look at those bars.
It has been there a while, but I haven't played with it.
Oh man, Elsa can do Little League. Little League World Series. All right.
Yay, Steve Husband. That's cool.
Cool. So I will make sure to. It's hilarious, Joe.
Yeah. You know what? I had played with this about 6 months ago or something. Now I remember.
All right. Don't worry, everyone. I'll have it disabled by next week. I'm sure there's a switch.
Yeah. So was that in your last upgrade? It showed up and we didn't know it.
There's no telling how long it's been there, and it's been a while since Jitsi updated too.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, it's probably been 4 months. And to be just perfectly clear, it could have that thing could have been there for the last 3 years, and I would have never known because I never looked at that.
No, it's not that long ago. Because I know when we updated at Destination Linux, we found that. I'm like, oh, that, and they disabled it. So
And it's really easy to go find. I can just check the change log.
Okay. Let's see this one. Oh, that's cricket silence. Oh.
Applause crowd cheering sound effect. Yeah, I do need to. Sharing screen and the audio of the app. What are these things called? Reactions or? Raise your
They
hand
have keyboard
sounds.
shortcuts too.
Raise your hand.
Yep, that worked. I hadn't played with these in a while. Let's see.
How could I remove raise hand feature in web app? Oh, all right. Interface JS.
Yeah, I like the crickets one. It's kind of cool. But you probably can't just disable all of them.
I can just get rid of the option in the bar
Yeah.
to where you don't have anything to. So, folder, let me see, config directory. You can set the following. Oh, okay. Yeah. Disable reactions true.
Okay.
All right.
That's it.
Oh, yeah, this apparently showed up. I'm guessing usually a good way to find a feature when it shows up is the first time you find somebody's like, how do I disable this?
Yeah.
So it looks like this rolled out in February of 22.
Of 22. Okay. So it's right. It was a while ago that I played with
It's
that.
been a minute. It's been hanging out.
We just never play with them, or we just hit it accidentally.
I never
today.
look at it.
Yeah.
And it could have just been like accidentally tapping a keyboard on your end or something like that. And like, boop,
Yeah.
popped it up.
I think that's what happened.
Which, hey, we learned stuff though, right?
This is cool though.
I'm like, hey, let's figure out what was that box. I'm like, I don't know. All right. And we tracked it down. Then we found out that we can make noises, which I absolutely got to disable before Saturday. Either that.
See, that's for Steve Husband.
Crickets for your dad jokes. I don't know, man. I don't know if I want to expose crickets to your dad jokes. That'd be cruel. All right, everybody. It's already 4:30. I need to. I'm going to be trucking for probably the next 20 hours doing stuff. Had a good time. Hope everybody had fun. If you're just watching this, we do this 3 p.m.
Fun.
It's going to be in podcast format. Everything.
Sure.
Tomorrow, Jordan is going to be back with Baldur's Gate 3 on Linux. He's cutting through that. He just started last week, so if you're looking for a weekly adventure, audience participation is highly encouraged. Maybe he'll have a battle with a squirrel. And Friday, which is the day after tomorrow, here anyway, we're going to be doing Trackmania Rounds Match, Classic Trackmania, Trackmania 2 Stadium. All the information for that, if you would like to participate, you are invited, whoever you are. Even if you want to come hang out with us in audio and video and chat on the live stream, you're welcome to. All of that information is pinned in the Trackmania Zen channel in our Discord. Read it, ask any questions. We're all there hanging out. That'll be at 7:30 p.m. And after that, we do the Classic Trackmania, then we do the Modern Trackmania 2020. We do Cup of the Knot Day, and sometimes we even win. I have managed to win one
Yeah, you have.
Cup of the Knot Day. Normally what happens is, more often than not, is we hit the wrong button and accidentally cancel ourselves out of a race. This seems to happen at least once a month. Ogie's done it, and Ogie's not going to do it anymore because me and Ogie were having a good run one week, and then I hear, oh man, what the? He pressed, because Jill knows it, on a keyboard, or even on a controller, like one of these buttons will reset you to a checkpoint.
Yes.
And the other one will tap out. But when you're playing in rounds, like you're playing on, if you hit the reset button, either one, it just takes you out.
It takes you out completely. Yeah, we've all
Right,
done that on
and-
accident.
The first thing I was like, you probably don't want to have that button mapped to your controller, so that's been fixed. But you're welcome
Oh,
to come
okay.
do that.
That's good.
And
I keep it on there so when we do the practice maps, so I can go, back.
I have put mine on the keyboard just in case.
Oh, okay. That's a good idea.
Yeah, so I never have to worry about it. But yeah, we do that at 7:30. If you want to come, rock out on Friday, that's there. Saturday back with Linux Gamecast at 8:30 p.m. All this is going to be on Twitch. It's on schedule. I need to update Jordan's Twitch schedule. I think it still says he's playing Hello Kitty Island Adventure or something like that.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Bye, everyone. Love you
Have
all.
a great rest of your week.
Yay. Thanks for joining us.